And this is how all this shapes up for different markets across the country. Sellers who want to sell, especially in areas where inventory is exploding right now, have to get serious about cutting the price. Here's an example of a seller from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is a very bougie area, if you've ever heard of it or been there. I've never been, but I've seen videos about it, and it's basically a playground for the rich, okay? But this guy was asking almost $1.9 million for his house over there. He had to reduce the price down to $1.65 million in order to get an offer, and then he got an offer within 3 days of that price reduction. But I see a lot of houses here in Miami that have even larger price reductions than that and have still been sitting on the market for months, if not over a year. And here's the facts and the reality about where you live and what might be happening in the market today. In the Northeast and the Midwest, still pretty strong demand, still some inventory shortages, still getting above asking price offers for very desirable properties or neighborhoods, versus the South and the Western parts of the country are experiencing quite the opposite. Very weak demand, homes sitting longer on the market, and more price cuts and homes still going unsold. You might have also seen the recent headline that talks about how home sales jumped in October to the highest point that we've seen since the early part of 2025. But don't get too excited about that, guys, because they only went up 1.2%, and that puts us at a 4.1 million homes sold on an annual basis for 2025, which is still the worst year on record since about 30 years ago. So that doesn't really do anything to make the housing market look good. It's just headline numbers like that, like I said in the beginning, that make everybody excited and try to create FOMO and try to push people into buying. You got to realize there's a lot of vested interest behind getting people in the mind frame to buy a home. Everybody has their hand in your pocket. Real estate agents, lenders, banks, local governments, national government. Everybody has an interest in you buying a home because everybody makes money off that transaction when you do it and long after you own it as well. And the fact of the matter is 19% of homes across the country are still selling above listing price, but a year ago it was 21%, so that number is coming down. But that is not the majority, in case you haven't noticed, and that's only happening on highly desirable properties that multiple people are interested in. And a lot of this is happening in the luxury market where it doesn't even impact the average Joe, okay? Because homes that are priced between $750,000 and $1 million, the sales of those homes are up 10% year over year, and homes over $1 million, the sales are up 16% year over year. And that's why the median home price is still creeping up at a measly 1.2% year over year. Ooh, don't worry about it, guys. That's what I'm telling you. Do not worry about it. Another fact of life is that 29% of all sales that are taking place right now are still all cash. And investors and second home buyers are about 16% of the buyers out there. And first-time home buyers make up only 32% of home buyers. And that just goes to show you that this market is basically rich people buying real estate from rich people for the most part. And so that's why I'm telling the average person, you don't have to worry about this. You're not going to get left behind, because if you're an average Joe living in an average market, you're not competing with these people for the most part. Unless you live in the middle of nowhere and you see a lot of those properties being bought up by out-of-towners, then maybe you should be worried. But if that's not you, continuing to save and wait right now is probably the best thing you can do. But even the big price growth that we saw in the Northeast is starting to slow down. That's still the strongest region of the country. But prices are now up 6.5% year over year. So it's slowing down from those double-digit gains. In the West, home prices are flat at only 0.1% gains year over year. And in the South, the area that's getting hit the hardest, like especially here in Florida, guys, it's now normal to see double-digit declines year over year. There's several markets now here in Florida and the southern United States that are seeing 10% year over year losses in home values. And this is all leading to a situation where inventory continues to rise, okay? Inventory is up 11% year over year, which is fantastic for anybody who's been waiting. And the unsold inventory is sitting at about a 4.4 month supply, which, remember, anything over 6 has historically been considered a buyer's market. But we don't need to get to 6 months anymore with just how low demand is. Price cuts are also becoming far more common. On a national basis, about 20% of listings had a price cut as of October. And in summary, I think a lot of this is very good news for people who have been pushed to the sidelines. Like, is the market perfect yet? Is it the best time ever to jump in? No. But are the conditions improving and moving towards your favor as a buyer? Absolutely. And it's not too late for sellers either, guys, especially if you bought more than 5 years ago. You might not be making the profits that you would have made in 2022, but you're still doing okay and probably able to capitalize on a pretty large gain if you were to sell today.